In this gendered world, there are 1,000 examples we can give where gender discrimination exists. Domestic work can be a specific issue for today. All over the world, domestic work is still seen as women's work. Even when a woman works outside, all the duty for home goes to her. The question is, when a woman is not only the person to live in the house, why should she always have to do this work? Domestic work, a reproductive role that has always been seen as a role of a woman. Reproductive role is related to the birth and raising the children, preparing meals, washing, cleaning the house, and above all. In the early decade of United Nations, 1960 to 1970, women were completely absent in development theory and practice. In that time, they were seen as mothers and housewives. Later, by declaring 1975 as the Women's Year and 1976 to 1985 as the International Women's Decade, it was shown that women are also the driving force for the development of a society. The point is that although it feels the necessity to involve women in more productive and so strong, capitalism did not free them from their domestic labor, but pushed them into the labor market with the shackles of domestic work. Those women who are raising their voice against this patriarchal system are being called bad wives, careeristic modern women, women without affection, and many more things. The question is a woman living in the home alone? Does she eat all the cooked food alone and the male members is the raw? Is the child only belonging to the mother? The answer here is no. Women do not live alone. But when it comes in the terms of the work, she becomes alone to do this. Let's see a little information. Women make up half of the world's workforce, 48% of the labor force and 30% of the national income. The United Nations claims women's work is 2/3 of the world's work and they carry about 15 times more domestic work than men. But only 1% of the wealth of this world belongs to women, and they receive 1/10 of the total income. Since domestic work is not considered productive and economic, $11 trillion worth of the women's work lost every year as an invisible contribution to the world's economy. One of the main reasons for being deprived of equal opportunities is the distribution of such discriminatory gendered responsibilities. Domestic work is unpaid and time-consuming, so these are women's jobs. And men have been involved in all the work that is related to the power. Meanwhile, when the conventional development trend came that declared the term of women empowerment, freedom of women, sustainable poverty alleviation, etc., to engage women in earning, but did not alleviate her burden of domestic work and responsibilities. As a result, a double burden was placed on the women's neck. Meanwhile, the man is the earthy and powerful part of the world. Then, why they do not want to take part of these activities? Because the simple stereotype is ingrained that in the mind, these are women's work. And by doing this, there is a great fear of being feminine or can be stigmatized in various other issues. At the very same time, since it has no economic value, it's not all acceptable for men to be associated with. It is maybe an inferior job. In the case, we can say, the current economic system and the social system is patriarchal. Women work 16 to 18 hours in a day, half of which is owed the labor, and the other half is invisible in the labor market. Men's involvement in domestic work is seen in some cases, but on a big frame, it's seen as women's duty. So that is why men used to say that they are helping the women in domestic work and these are not their actual job. It's of course a double burden for women and a major obstacle for their freedom and potential development. And of course, it's also a cause of physical and mental issues for women. So what should we do? Let's think.